Hey guys, it's Dr. Klein with your weekly posture report. Last time we talked about the runway model and we also talked about the cheerleader. So I got a lot of comments from the women folk, but not a lot of guys. And I try to make it clear in the video that their posture, I was the cheerleader. So my posture was very that anterior pelvic tilt with that a lot of extension, compression of the spine that we talked about in those videos. So check those out again if you didn't. Got a lot of good feedback from both these because these are active postures that I see a lot. These are people that are really trying to stand up straight, but just like the analogy I had with the triathlon guy versus the guy who's sitting at the desk all the time, they share the same degenerative breakdowns and sometimes even worse because you're taking out bad movement patterns and you're forcing them to work harder and you're lifting weight and you're moving more than the guy who's sitting at the desk. So everything is an exercise. That's the thing I'm trying to convey there. So even sitting, we can decompress, we can hold ourselves better, and it can be something that builds us up instead of breaks us down. Today we're going to talk about the spinal muscles and why they're so important. Stress, but also mechanoreceptors. So mechanoreceptors and stress, and we're going to talk a little about these two, and I know it's a big word and it's scary, but let's just break it down because these little tiny muscles in the spine have lots of mechanoreceptors. So we're going to take a look at these two at the top here, the inferior oblique and the superior oblique. Where are those located? They are right here. So these two do more rotation than these other two that were listed. So you can see these had almost 200 mechanoreceptors, whereas these were almost at 100. So what's the major difference there? These guys do extension of the head, and these guys do extension, but also they add rotation. So a lot of you are already thinking, okay, a lot of anti-rotation exercises might help stimulate the spinal muscles more than straight up flexion extension, which would be more, yoga's a lot of flexion extension of the spine, but we actually want more active decompression with rotation. So I might make a whole other video with exercises that look like this, but right now we're just nerding out and looking at some of the muscles and everything there. So these are the suboccipital muscles, and some of you are like, yeah, I'm really tight here. And as chiropractors, we're finding these are really knotted up. Even after someone gets a massage, this area can still be really tight and restricted because there's just a lot of stress here pulling on the back of your skull. I even think a lot of sciatica issues come from this area, just pulling upwards and tractioning the whole spinal cord. So a lot of times we'll adjust C1, C2, and it helps lower back problems. Let's go back to this. Here's a good one here too. Here's the multifidus. And you might notice that these oblique type muscles look a lot like the ones we just looked at here, ones with high mechanoreceptors. So we can safely assume that these probably also have a lot of high mechanoreceptors because they also help with extension, but also rotation of the spine. So these are called transversal spinalis muscles. They're in the little canal there. So that's when chiropractors are feeling down your spine. We're feeling for the tone of these muscles, how dense they are, how thick they are. Sometimes they're overdeveloped in certain areas, and sometimes we're running along whole sections of the spine where there's just feels bony. So they're atrophy those muscles. So if they're not doing their job, they're not opening up the discs, they're not taking pressure off the nerves, and that's stress. So it's not so much that we care about distorted posture, like looking at the last two syndromes, it's that there's atrophy, and that leads to spinal nerve stress. So if you spend any time with Dr. Shayla, she's going to talk to you about the 3 stressors: trauma, toxins, and thoughts. So trauma can also be from atrophy, and that could be microtrauma, so we don't have stability. So like when you're a little kid and you go on a roller coaster, you're probably fine afterwards. Now when we're an adult, we go on that roller coaster, it's banging our head around, we're like, ow, I'm just old. No, we just have lack of stability. The joints aren't protected. So that's microtrauma. It's little things over time that cause injury. So many people come in the office, I didn't do anything, right? I didn't do anything, I was just jogging and full-on sprained my hip flexor muscle. That's a big, tough muscle. It just doesn't sprain because you're old, okay? It's just as old as the one on the other side. There's torsional things that have led to this abuse. So we're talking a little about spinal abuse now. So there's 2 relationships in this partner. You can think about your spine as your passive, empathetic relationship in this partner. And he just kind of takes stuff and compensates due to the extremities. Your arms and your legs are the often things that are complaining and whining. Oh, I got knee pain. So your spine will like, okay, I'll try to twist and contort myself to try to relieve the knee pain on that side. Then it's the other hip that's like, why am I all jammed up now? So like I had a friend the other day, he was like, hip flexor sprain. And he's like, oh, it feels better now. I'm like, you don't just sprain something and 2 days later, it's better. It's your spine is probably compensating, especially iliopsoas. It has direct attachments to the discs and the lower lumbar spine, or the lumbar spine. So the spine will then, okay, this muscle's injured. There's so much movement and mechanoreception in the spine that it will compensate. So you can think about like your legs and your arms being like the narcissist in the relationship. They're really controlling and they're making the spine, they're gaslighting the spine to make it feel like it's the problem. And the spine isn't strong enough to stand up for itself. So it's just like, okay, whatever you want, body, I'm just going to twist and turn because I have the motion in the joints to do it. And I can compress my posture and I can distort everything to make the hips and the knees and everything try to happy. So these warnings that the legs give are always going back to the central structure. Your spine that is holding everything together, everything attaches to it, and it's just good at, because it wants to take pressure off the nerves. It needs to do that too. It's protecting the nervous system. So you really have to think about these little tiny symptoms. We don't think they're big, and really like, okay, let's look at the spine. Because I wish you could feel and see the spine as you're laying on the table. You probably don't think it is bad. You got to imagine it's worse than it feels, for sure. And that's because we don't have a lot of nociception in the spinal muscles. They have high mechanoreception, but they don't have a lot of pain receptors. So they don't let you know that they hurt as bad as these other big tissues might. Let's go back to this other chart because there's some other muscles examples here, like the lats and the traps. two mechanoreceptors versus that one we looked at, 242 mechanoreceptors. That's a major difference. We're talking about the traps, this huge muscle from the back of the skull to the shoulders, all the way down pretty much to the last thoracic. Huge, big, broad muscle. Lat, same thing, attaching from your pelvis going up to your shoulder. Big, broad tissue covering a lot of space. Probably a lot of high nociception, pain receptors, but not mechanoreceptors, because that's the spine's job to keep us walking in a straight line. So think about like if your neck is slightly out of place, your hips will counter-rotate. So this is what we call the love it brother principle. So if like, let's go to this picture again here. So C1 is this top one in the spine. It has a lot of rotation and also a lot of mechanoreception because it's going to use that rotation to make sure your eyes are level and you're not walking in a circle. A lot of times they used to do tests, they blindfold somebody, put them out in a cornfield, have them walk in a straight line, they'd end up walking in a circle. So C1, if it's locked out of place, and that's why you get adjusted, and that's how it can affect your lower back, is your pelvis, every bone has a brother. So L5, very bottom of your spine, will counter-rotate the other direction to keep you walking straight. But then there's torsion in the whole spine because of that. Yeah, you're able to walk straight, and it's taking stress off the nerves, but eventually that's going to lead to degeneration and arthritis of the spine. And it's going to be causing your extremities, your knees and your feet or whatever, to take more abuse on one side over the other. So it's a very slow thing. It's micro trauma, and that's one of the big stressors that leads to all pathology, all disease. So these three stressors, emotions, right, can definitely affect us. They affect our posture too. So if you're strong posture, emotions aren't going to wreak as much havoc on you as they will. And then we have toxins, the things we're taking in food-wise. So a lot of times we don't have control over emotion. We don't have control over, a lot of the food we eat because it's just garbage food everywhere. I know people are eating kale and beets and they're still struggling with stress in their spine. So one thing we really have control over is strengthening these spinal muscles so toxins and thoughts don't hit us as hard, the other two T's. So if we're strong in one area, it can definitely help. And you want to be strong in all three. Yeah, you want a good diet. You don't want to be eating French fries and doing foundation training at the same time. But there's going to be times when you just want that burger, and you should be able to handle that. Your gut should be able to handle that, and that's removing stress, because there's stress on the spine, there's stress on the gut. We understand that in a chiropractic sense, that we get an adjustment and it can help our gut work better and function better if you just remove stress off a nerve. So what if you think about it, if you're moving mechanical stress off the entire nervous system, you don't think it's going to help the same way? Of course it will. Of course we can also address these mechanoreceptors by mechanics, by stimulating them through decompression and lengthening. So these are the nerdy videos we're talking about the science. You're probably like, how do you show me how these videos? I have lots of these videos. I will link them below. I will give you some videos to work on these. But it's more about the intention we're putting in. I'm going to make a new video on some more of the rotation moves you can do in the decompression stance. Because I've noticed they're really helpful, but now looking at this mechanoreception, how these muscles are more designed for rotation, we want to add more counter-rotative type moves in our decompression foundation training styles to help stimulate them more. Because the more we wake up the spine, I have a theory that we're going to wake up the nerve sensors as well. Because everything can atrophy. Even the nerves can atrophy to the muscles if they're not used. Think about like a guitar player who has a lot of fine motor control. It just doesn't happen right away. You know, practice, muscle memory over and over again. And then we dissect those people and we look at their nerves and they're thick because they're using those nerves. Not only the muscles, but the nerves will get bigger and stronger, and we'll be able to interact. Brain-body connection will be stronger because of that. Same with if we're stimulating the spine. If we strengthen it, we're going to naturally take on better posture. And your body's also going to warn you when there's a problem, because a lot of people will take an x-ray and they'll have degeneration and arthritis and, you know, distortions of the spine. It looks twisted, and they're like, I had no idea. I didn't feel any pain. I came in because I had knee pain. And like, this must be somebody else's x-ray. And chiropractors used to get in trouble because the patients were like, they gave me somebody else's x-ray. They're trying to scare me because I don't have back pain like that. It can't be my x-ray that has these degenerative discs, because I don't feel it, because the spinal muscles and the joint tissue don't have high nociception. And maybe we'll talk about nociception more, but today's Mechanoreceptor Day. Maybe that's next week. All right, some final thoughts on that. Talked about the multifidus, talked about the suboccipitals. Here's a little blurb on mechanoreceptions. So we're going to realize that we're holding ourselves wrong. Sometimes even people lay on the table, legs are off to one side, and then I put their legs in the middle. They're like, that feels weird. I feel off center. Mechanoreception is off. They're standing, one shoulder's higher than the other, hips are over there. They feel straight. A lot of times we adjust them, we're like, I feel weird. Yeah, they have to recalibrate the muscles, the nerves, the joints. Everything's recalibrating just from a few specific corrections to the spine. And also strengthening the spinal muscles will help you hold that adjustment better. If the spine is weak, that's when you're coming in 3 to 4 times a week. Feels good for a little bit, and then everything falls apart. Because there's no stability. We need strength as well to help supplement the chiropractic adjustment. The stronger the central structure, the more awareness we will have of poor movement patterns. We'll start to notice things. I even notice when I'm doing a lengthened state and I'm doing my exercise, I'm like, oh, I feel that restriction in that hip, or I'll feel off balance. I'm doing this exercise. I'm really stimulating the body, things I don't notice normally. And that helps. And that's why it's good to have somebody, you know, training you and working with you to see your bad movement patterns, but also getting out there and doing stuff so you notice what's off, where the mechanoreception is bad, and where we need more stimulation. Nociception, our pain receptors. So we got motor nerves, and we got sensory nerves. Like when I had shingles, it was the sensory nerve that got attacked, so it's like full-on pain. It's not going to affect the motor, but it's just our sensation, and that can be messed up just as much as the motion and the motor nerves, the more the mechanoreceptor type of things, and both go hand in hand. We need that pain as a warning, and the mechanoreception needs to be there, because that's like, you know, almost like a cerebellum's job. It's our proprioception, where we are, and our mapping center to notice how we're holding ourselves. And that's one thing that kind of goes out, you know, later when we get older, is all that stress up here from those suboccipital nerves. We tend to think like a Parkinson's type posture comes from the disease, you know, up there in the cerebellum and the base of the skull, but maybe the posture was there before, and there's just chronic stress. When there's stress, there's inflammation, there's irritation. You add 10, 20, 30 years, you know, you think that can cause a variety of pathologies. Of course, posture can, and that's why I care about this stuff. It's such a big deal, because we can remove stress. Who knows what we're going to prevent? And that's why there's not so many case studies on this, because when we're working on strengthening the spine and adjusting it, I can't do big study because who knows what the things that are prevented through simply moving better and getting your spine in a line, because it can help prevent heart attacks, it can help prevent anything, and that's why we care about it. We care about the neurology. We don't care about how your posture looks. It's like, that looks bad, man. Don't you want to look upright? No, we don't care about that. We care about removing stress off the nerves. That's why we get up, and that's why we go adjust people. That's what we care about. All right, we talked about the Love It Brother system, and I think that'll be all for today. I'll see you guys next week. Good note to end on here is the spinal cord. I know it's probably really, really glary, but that's the dissected nerve. That's what we care about. The spinal cord and the nerve roots. That's your lifeline coming off the brain stem there. That's what we want to protect, and that's why we want to strengthen the spine. It's not even about arthritis or degeneration. It's about stress on the nerves. Allowing those nerves to be healthy, so your heart's healthy, your lungs are healthy, everything's healthy, and in your body and your arms and your legs will move better too if the spine is happy. So let's give some love to our spine. Go in, get adjusted, ask what exercises might be best for you, and go ahead and leave me a comment if you have a question. I'm open to answering questions so I know what to talk about next week. Take care, guys. Have a good Thanksgiving. Be thankful for your mechanoreceptors.